Good morning. Happy Saturday to you. Welcome everyone on this Saturday morning. Hope you're grabbing your coffee and enjoying your wonderful morning. It's going to be a really hot day here in Northern Virginia. And we have this saying in my family, and it's called blooming. And so I hope you are enjoying your blooming time here this morning. So sorry. My little Bella wants to go downstairs. There you go, Bella. There you go. And she is having a hard time going downstairs. Oh, sorry. Just a second. There you go, Bella. Anyways, she has what is called cushions, and so she is going a little bit downhill. She's starting to lose her eyesight and her hearing, and she's losing a lot of weight. So anyway, so she doesn't like to go down the stairs. So I have to carry her up and down the stairs, even just 2 stairs. So anyways, good morning. Welcome to my postscript Saturday, a PS to our real estate week, where I share the value of working with a professional realtor. I have been in the real estate business now for 35 years, celebrating this year, and there's a lot of knowledge and experience and information that I can share with you, and therefore I have started Postscript Saturday, a PS to our real estate week. And today's episode is all about the Post Occupancy Agreement, and it is a tool. It's also known as the rent back. And it is a tool that we can use in our industry. And there's a few reasons why someone would use a post-occupancy agreement. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of the ins and outs of what that is and means. So if you are a seller, there's a couple of reasons why you would want to use a post-occupancy agreement. Number one is that if you don't want to move twice, this is a good tool to use, the rent back. If you also need your funds in order to purchase, this is another really good reason to use a rent back. So the last 3 settlements actually that I have had, my most recent 3 settlements, everyone had a rent back. And when an offer is being presented to a seller, part of that offer is you have the actual residential sales agreement, which has all the terms of the purchase, and then you have any additions. And so usually a rent back form will come along with the offer. And so there's some nuances though with the rent back, and I'm going to explain a couple of things. First of all, unless your buyer is a cash buyer, okay? If your buyer is a cash buyer, there is no term limits. And what I mean by that, if you have a buyer that's getting a mortgage and is using a lender, that lender is going to say, hey, there's a maximum amount of period that you can do as a purchase, and it's usually 60 days. And the reason why that's important is because the lender doesn't want it to go beyond 60 days, because that is getting into a little bit more of an investor type sale. And when you're an investor, the interest rate is higher. So they want you're going to be an owner-occupied buyer. You really cannot do more than 60-day rent back. So you have to bear that in mind when you're making your plans as a seller, unless you have a cash buyer and you can do whatever you want. But I would totally focus on that you're probably not going to get a cash buyer. It's possible, but I wouldn't bank on it. So there is that restriction. So the rent back will always have a beginning term and end term, and the amount of the rent back per month or per diem, depending on the term, and also a deposit. The seller will have to give a deposit, and that deposit will be held with the settlement company and does not get released back to the seller until after the rent back period is over. So what happens with the rent back, when you go to settle, the buyer will do a pre-settlement walkthrough and make sure that the house is still in the same condition as it was when they wrote the offer. But then they also will do another walkthrough after the rent back period. So the buyer will have two opportunities to, oh, hey, Deb, will have two opportunities to make sure that that home is in the same condition as it was when they wrote the offer. And if it's in good, if it's in a similar condition, the deposit will get released back to the seller. And the deposit is a negotiable. The rent back is a negotiable. The term is negotiable. All of that is negotiable, and you do come to those terms, as I mentioned, when the offer is presented originally. Now, there's something very important about a post-occupancy agreement that I want to make sure that you understand. And that is, it does not mean that all of a sudden it's a landlord-tenant situation. That is not the case. And this is very important. So if something happens during that rent back period, for instance, all these things have happened on my watch over the years. If the dishwasher breaks, if the disposal breaks, if red wine is spilt on the white carpet, okay? If a banister gets broken while they're moving a couch down the stairs. These are all things that actually I've had experience with during a rent back period. And so the seller, again, does not become, it's not the buyer does not become a landlord and the seller become a tenant. You have to convey the property in the same condition as if you were going to settlement. So it is your responsibility, whatever breaks or happens during that period, it is your responsibility to take care of it. And so that's very important. A lot of people do not understand that. So make sure you understand the forms that you are signing. Make sure you understand what you are agreeing to. So, and also let me just tell you, right now in our marketplace, rent backs are often free. Usually they will include a deposit, like on an $800,000 home, you're looking at maybe $3,000 to $5,000 deposit. And as I mentioned, that gets dispersed after the second walkthrough. But a rent back, it used to be, when we had a different market, it used to be, normally it would be the purchasers, what we call PITI plus HOA. So that's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, plus if there's any HOA fee involved. So that's usually what the rent back amount was. That's how we always used to calculate it. But with our low inventory and multiple offers, as an incentive, buyers are often letting the sellers stay in the property at no charge. So that is very interesting. Again, this whole rent back becomes part of the offer when it's presented originally. So it can be a very good tool for sellers. You just have to know and understand what it is, how it's being used, what the terms are, why have the rent back. Everyone's on the same page. And again, there are some restrictions when it comes to financing as to the term that you can do for that rent back, usually 60 days. So I think that was kind of what I wanted to share with you. I hope that you're doing well and enjoy your weekend, and I hope you're enjoying the summer. And we will see you next week. And it's, let's see, will it be, yeah, it'll be July. So time is going by fast. So anyways, have a good week, everyone. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next week. Okay? All right.